Why are so many people over 50 suddenly keeping a jar of peanut butter by their bed? And here's the real question. Should you be doing the exact same thing tonight? That's exactly what we're unpacking right now. I'll be honest with you. The first time a patient mentioned this to me, I almost dismissed it on the spot. Peanut butter, right before sleep, after 50? That sounded like precisely the wrong habit to start, not the right one. But once I looked closely at what's actually happening inside an aging body overnight, what I found stopped me in my tracks. Here's what almost nobody tells you. After 50, your body becomes far less stable while you sleep than it used to be. Blood sugar drifts more than it should. Muscle repair slows down. Sleep gets lighter, even after a full 8 hours in bed. Most people never connect any of that to what's sitting quietly in their kitchen cabinet. They just chalk up the stiffness, the 2 a.m. wake-ups, and the slow, foggy mornings to getting older, and leave it at that. It isn't that simple. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what peanut butter does inside your body while you sleep, exactly who this is right for, and who needs to be careful with it, and the precise amount that actually makes the difference. Because get that part wrong, and you cancel out the benefit completely. Stay with me until the end for that, because it's the detail almost everyone gets wrong. My name is Dr. William. I've spent years sitting across from older adults in my office, hearing the same handful of complaints surface again and again. Restless nights, stiff and heavy mornings, energy that fades long before lunchtime. And again, I've watched small, overlooked habits at night quietly outperform expensive supplements and complicated routines. None of what I'm about to share with you requires a prescription, a special device, or a single dollar spent at the pharmacy. So let's talk plainly about what's actually happening inside your body while you sleep, and why this one simple habit has earned a place in so many nighttime routines after 50. Here's something worth sitting with for a moment. You don't just rest while you sleep. You repair. Every single night, your body uses those dark, quiet hours to rebuild muscle fiber, balance hormones, and clear waste out of your brain. This happens at every age, in every body. But after 50, this overnight repair system slows down in ways that are easy to miss and easy to misread as something else entirely. Your body produces less growth hormone while you sleep. Your blood sugar control becomes noticeably less precise. Your muscles take longer to recover from the same ordinary daily stress that used to bounce right off you: a long walk, a flight of stairs, an afternoon in the garden. That means the hours between when you close your eyes and when your alarm goes off aren't simply downtime. They're working hours. Real, biological, measurable working hours. And what you eat or don't eat right before those hours begin can either support that nightly work or quietly get in its way. If you've ever woken up already tired before you've even gotten out of bed, that's not a mystery. And it's certainly not something you just have to accept. That's your body telling you, in its own quiet way, that it needs a little more support at night than it used to. Most people never think to look at their evening plate for the answer, but that's often exactly where it's hiding. I think of patients I've worked with over the years whose stories all start to sound similar after a while, because this pattern is far more common than most people realize. A patient in her early 60s, otherwise healthy, had quietly convinced herself that waking up exhausted was simply her new normal. She'd stopped expecting to sleep through the night years earlier. When we walked through her evening routine together, the pattern showed up almost immediately: an early dinner, nothing afterward, and then wide awake like clockwork at 2 or 3 in the morning. That single detail told me most of what I needed to know before we'd even discussed anything else. Let's start with blood sugar, because nearly everything else tonight depends on getting this part right first. When you eat dinner in the early evening, your body slowly burns through that fuel over the next several hours. By the time midnight arrives, your blood sugar has often dropped lower than it should. And when it drops too far, your body does exactly what it's built to do. It releases stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, to pull stored sugar back into your bloodstream and correct the dip. That sounds harmless enough on paper. It isn't. Those stress hormones pull you straight out of deep sleep. Not dramatically, not with alarm bells going off, just enough to leave you tossing, turning, kicking off the blanket, or suddenly wide awake at 2 in the morning for no reason at all. There is a reason. It's chemical, and it's happening inside thousands of bedrooms across the country tonight, completely unnoticed. This is exactly where peanut butter earns its place. It digests slowly. Instead of spiking your blood sugar and then crashing it the way sugary snacks do, it releases energy gradually, over several hours. A small amount before bed gives your body a steady supply of fuel through the night, instead of leaving it to scramble for sugar at 3 in the morning. Picture 2 campfires. One is fed a little wood steadily, so it burns low and even all night long. The other gets nothing for hours, then a sudden log thrown on, flaring up hard and dying back down, over and over. Your blood sugar overnight behaves the same way, and which version you get often comes down to what you ate in that last hour before bed. When your blood sugar stays steady, your stress hormones stay calm. And when your stress hormones stay calm, your body stays in repair mode through the night, instead of switching into emergency mode every few hours. That difference is often the line between waking up rested and waking up wrecked. Now let's talk about why so many of you struggle to even fall asleep in the first place, even on nights when you're genuinely exhausted. Your brain needs raw materials to produce melatonin, your natural sleep hormone. That process begins with an amino acid called tryptophan, which your body converts into serotonin, your calming brain chemical, and then converts again into melatonin. If that chain gets interrupted anywhere along the way, falling asleep becomes harder, no matter how tired you feel. Peanuts contain tryptophan, not an enormous amount, but a real and meaningful one. And the combination of protein and fat in peanut butter supports your body's ability to put that tryptophan to work overnight, helping that natural chain reaction move forward smoothly instead of stalling out halfway through. There's something else tucked inside that small spoonful that almost nobody thinks about: magnesium. 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter contains a real, meaningful amount of it. Magnesium plays a direct role in calming your nervous system down. It helps quiet the kind of restless mental static that keeps so many people staring at the ceiling instead of drifting off naturally. A surprising number of adults over 50 run quietly low on magnesium without ever realizing it. And that shortage often shows up as restless legs, nighttime muscle cramps, and sleep that never feels deep, no matter how many hours you log in bed. So when you eat that small spoonful before bed, you're not simply having a snack. You're handing your brain some of the exact raw material it needs to do its job correctly through the night. There's a side benefit to this chain reaction that doesn't get talked about enough. Serotonin, the same chemical that eventually converts into melatonin, also plays a major role in mood and a general sense of calm. So when this pathway is working the way it should, you're not only setting yourself up for better sleep, you're also supporting a steadier, calmer mood the next day. The two are more connected than most people ever realize. Does any part of this sound familiar to you so far? Let's move to something a lot of people quietly deal with but rarely say out loud: waking up hungry in the middle of the night, or lying in bed unable to settle because your stomach won't stop grumbling, just enough to keep pulling your attention away from sleep. This isn't a willpower issue, it's a hormone issue. As we age, the hormone that tells your brain, "I need food," ghrelin, becomes more sensitive. At the same time, the hormone that tells your brain, "I'm satisfied, you can stop now," leptin, becomes less effective. Put those two shifts together, and it becomes easier to feel hungry at night and harder to feel full enough to stay comfortably asleep through it. Protein helps quiet that hunger signal directly. The fat in peanut butter also slows down how quickly your stomach empties, which means that comfortable, satisfied feeling lasts longer through the night. You're not stuffed. You're not heavy. You're simply settled enough to stay asleep, instead of lying there at 1 in the morning, wondering why your stomach won't quiet down. This next part matters most if you're still active in any ordinary way: walking regularly, gardening, climbing stairs, carrying groceries, anything that places a little everyday stress on your muscles throughout the day. Muscle doesn't repair itself while you're active. It repairs at night, during deep sleep, when your body releases growth hormone and gets to work rebuilding damaged muscle fiber. After 50, this repair process becomes noticeably less efficient. There's a term for this in clinical circles: anabolic resistance, and it simply means your muscles don't respond to protein nearly as strongly as they did when you were younger. That means timing and consistency start to matter more than they ever did before. A small amount of protein before bed, even the modest 7 or 8 grams you'd get from 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, gives your body real, usable raw material to keep that overnight repair process running instead of stalling out halfway through the night. If you've ever woken up stiff and heavy before you've even stood up out of bed, this is very often part of the reason why. This matters beyond muscle alone, too. Strength and balance are closely connected, and maintaining muscle mass after 50 plays a real role in staying steady on your feet and lowering fall risk down the road. A body that's actively repairing and maintaining muscle tissue overnight tends to be a steadier, more capable body during the day as well. Let's talk for a moment about what all of this adds up to by the time your alarm goes off, because this is really the part most of you care about the most. When your blood sugar dropped overnight and your stress hormones spiked to compensate for it, those hormones are often still slightly elevated when you wake up. That means your body is already in a low-level stressed state before your day has even officially started. That translates directly into brain fog, low motivation, and that heavy, dragging feeling that takes hours to shake off, no matter how strong your coffee is. To be clear, a natural rise in cortisol in the early morning hours is completely normal and even helpful. It's part of what gets you up and moving. The problem isn't cortisol itself. The problem is when overnight blood sugar swings trigger extra cortisol spikes hours before you're supposed to wake up, instead of saving that natural lift for the morning when your body can actually put it to good use. Now flip that picture around. When your blood sugar stayed steady through the night, thanks to a slow, dependable source of fuel like peanut butter, your stress hormones stayed calm. Your body completed its repair work largely undisturbed, and your brain wakes up already in a more rested state, instead of playing catch-up before you've even opened your eyes. The result isn't superhuman energy. It's something simpler, and honestly more valuable to most of you. You open your eyes, and you actually feel clear, present, ready to start your day instead of dreading the first hour of it. There's one more piece worth understanding here, especially for those of you who think more carefully about your heart than you used to. Peanut butter is rich in the same kind of heart-supportive fats found in olive oil, monounsaturated fats that support a healthier balance between your good and bad cholesterol over time. Your blood pressure also naturally dips a little during deep, restorative sleep, which matters for your cardiovascular system's overnight recovery. Steadier blood sugar and calmer stress hormones support that nightly dip rather than working against it. So this habit isn't only about sleep. In a quiet, supportive way, it touches your heart health too, night after night. These same healthy fats also play a role in something many older adults deal with, but rarely name directly: low-grade overnight inflammation, the kind that leaves you feeling stiff, achy, and slow to get moving in the morning. Monounsaturated fats help calm that inflammatory response, which is part of why so many people report feeling less creaky once this habit becomes consistent. Now, here's something I want to be very direct and very clear about, because it's the one place where this advice genuinely isn't right for everyone. If you're managing diabetes with insulin or other blood sugar medication, or if you have a peanut allergy, please don't start this habit on your own without a conversation first. Talk to your doctor before making it a regular routine. The timing of food and medication matters a great deal, and what's a smart, simple habit for one person can be the wrong move for someone with a different medical picture. This is the one caution I want you to walk away with from this entire video, and it's an important one. Please don't skip it. For most healthy adults over 50, without those specific concerns, peanut butter before bed is generally safe, simple, and genuinely beneficial. So let's get practical. because how you do this matters just as much as whether you do it at all. The right amount is 1 to 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter, eaten 30 to 60 minutes before you actually lie down. That's the entire habit. Not a heaping spoonful straight from a fresh jar late at night. Not a snack pile with crackers and chocolate stacked on the side. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons, on its own or paired with something simple. Timing matters more than most people expect. Eating it the instant you lie down doesn't give your body enough time to begin digesting it properly before you're trying to fall asleep. Give yourself that 30 to 60 minute window and let your body start the process before your head ever hits the pillow. One more detail worth knowing, because it genuinely changes the outcome. A lot of popular peanut butter brands are loaded with added sugar, corn syrup, or hydrogenated oils, and those ingredients work directly against everything we've just talked about. Read the label before you buy. The best option has just peanuts and maybe a small pinch of salt. If the oil separates and you have to stir it before using it, that's actually a reassuring sign. It means you're holding the real thing, not a heavily processed imitation dressed up to look healthy. If you'd like a little variety, there are a few simple pairings worth knowing. Half a banana with your peanut butter adds a little extra potassium and magnesium, which can help ease nighttime muscle cramping for some people. A few apple slices add fiber and a touch of natural sweetness without spiking your blood sugar, since the fat and protein in the peanut butter buffer that sugar smoothly. A slice of whole grain toast adds a slow, steady source of carbohydrate for those of you who tend to wake up hungry or who stay especially active during the day and need a little more overnight fuel for muscle recovery. A spoonful, stirred into a few ounces of plain yogurt, is another option some of my patients prefer, especially when they want a bit of extra protein without adding much sugar. It's a slightly heavier option than the others, so keep the portion modest if you go this route. None of these pairings are required. Peanut butter on its own, in the right amount, does the job perfectly well. I want to answer a few questions I hear often, because you may be wondering the same things right now. Does this work the same way for everyone over 50? Mostly yes, for healthy adults without the specific concerns we already covered. But everybody's body responds a little differently, so pay attention to how you personally feel after a week or two, rather than expecting identical results to your neighbor or your sibling. What if you genuinely don't like peanut butter, or the texture bothers you? Almond butter offers a very similar set of benefits, with slightly more magnesium, and works as a simple substitute for almost everyone who isn't allergic to tree nuts either. Can you eat it earlier in the evening instead, say right after dinner? You can, but you'll lose much of the specific overnight benefit we've been discussing. The whole point is steady fuel and steady amino acids available during those late night and early morning hours when your blood sugar is naturally at its lowest and your repair systems are working hardest. Earlier in the evening, that window has already mostly passed by the time you're actually asleep. One more question that comes up often. Should this replace a bedtime snack you've already been told to eat for a medical reason, like a specific carbohydrate snack for blood sugar management? No. If your doctor has already given you specific bedtime eating instructions tied to a medical condition, follow those instructions first. This habit is meant to complement an ordinary healthy routine, not override medical guidance you're already following. Now, what about the worry so many of you have probably had at some point? Doesn't eating anything before bed cause weight gain? Here's the honest answer. Weight gain isn't really about whether you eat at night at all. It's about what you eat and how much across your entire day, every day. A small, intentional protein and fat snack like this one is a completely different story than a late-night bowl of ice cream or a stack of cookies in front of the television. In the small amount we've discussed today, this habit supports your body's overnight repair work rather than working against your weight goals. The key word, as always, is small. 1 to 2 tablespoons. Not a jar emptied on the couch at midnight. Consistency matters far more than perfection here. You don't need to do this every single night to start noticing a difference. Many people who try this several nights a week for a few consistent weeks begin to notice steadier energy through the day, fewer middle-of-the-night wake-ups, and mornings that feel noticeably less heavy than before. If this video helped you understand your own sleep a little more clearly, that's exactly what this channel exists for. Calm, practical health guidance, without the noise and without the scare tactics so much health content leans on. Give this a real 2 to 3 week trial before deciding whether it's working for you. Sleep habits that built up slowly over years rarely reverse overnight, but small, steady inputs like this one tend to add up quietly in the background, often before you've consciously noticed much of a difference at all. So here's what I want you to walk away with tonight. Your body doesn't slow down after 50. It shifts into some of its hardest, most important work of the entire day, almost entirely while you're unconscious. And one small, simple food, eaten the right way, at the right time, in the right amount, can quietly support that work instead of leaving your body to manage it alone, night after night, year after year. You don't need anything complicated. You don't need an entire supplement cabinet or a strict new routine. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons of real peanut butter, 30 to 60 minutes before bed, and a little consistency over the coming weeks. For more calm, practical health guidance for older adults, designed to help you feel steadier, sharper, and more in control of your own health, subscribe to Senior Health Sessions. I'm Dr. William, and I'll see you in the next one.